Hello, and welcome to the Kosh, the People's Podcast. I'm your host, Timber Smith, and the Kosh is a podcast that spotlights people who've had an association with the Kosh and the surrounding Fox Cities region. Kosh listeners, how are we doing? Oh, it is good to be back on the microphone, good to be back recording, good to be back with y'all. We've got a fantastic episode ahead. I am excited about this conversation we're going to get ready to have. All right, let me give my normal report for the time frame. It is officially nice, but it is wet. It is wet. It just feels, I don't know. You know, let me ask y'all this. Why do people hate the word moist? You know, why do some people hate that word? You know, it makes me conscious. Like, it's become a word that I'm so conscious of that it almost feels like it's a swear word. Like, I don't want to say moist because it just makes some people feel all cringy and stuff. And I'm just like, seriously? But it's such a good adjective because that's what it feels today. So, and that is what's up. So, but once again, good to be back on the microphone. Oh, before we go any further, let me make sure that I let y'all know that this episode of The Kosh is sponsored by Sunken Paddle Cider Works, making the best of it. Want to give a huge shout out to those fellas over there at Sunken Paddle, Spencer and Doug. Hey, you know what? I got to do the coolest thing with them this past week. They were making a commercial for Visit Oshkosh. And even though I had no lines, which I wouldn't want any, I did get to sit and be part of the production and have a Kosh cocktail, which is fantastic. So thank y'all so much for inviting me. Tara, thank you for inviting me. That was just cool. I appreciate it anytime I'm invited to the space. So let me, we got to work out the kinks now, Kosh listeners. Okay, so let me just say this. You know, the Kosh is really about neighbors. And if the Kosh is about neighbors, it's about neighborhoods. And this is going to be a fire conversation because we're going to be talking a little bit about both of those. So before we get started, and in Kosh tradition, you know what I'm going to do, and you know what I'm going to say. I don't know how I continue to get these amazing, amazing guests. And this week is no different. So without further ado, this week's guest is Liz Last. Hey, Liz.
Hi, Timber.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
You know what, Liz? You know what I like about you? Your name. I couldn't mess that up. I slaughter a lot of names. And Liz Last is right up there with Timber Smith. Those are all things that I can enunciate.
Yep. They're both pretty great.
They are pretty great. How are we doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
All right. You ready to jump in?
Yes.
Okay, well, Liz, can you please share a little something about yourself and the connection to the Kosh and the surrounding Fox Cities region?
Sure. So I was actually on a Zoom call recently with you and was introduced through some contacts in Appleton. We were talking about neighborhoods and things that were happening that are really great in Oshkosh that we could maybe try to replicate in Appleton and just learn from one another and collaborate. So my current role here in Oshkosh is Executive Director of Oshkosh Healthy Neighborhoods. I assumed that role back in February, so I'm still relatively new. Still have a lot to learn, but really excited for what I have to offer. Oshkosh Healthy Neighborhoods is a nonprofit here that helps develop and support neighborhood associations throughout the city. We offer some really great resources, good neighbor grants and community building and engagement dollars for neighborhood associations to bring people together and celebrate the good things that are happening. We also host a neighborhood alliance group, core team members from each of the 26 recognized neighborhood associations. We get them together each month and we share ideas and share information and resources so they can take those back to the people in their neighborhoods. And we also host couple of really exciting events and have some other big ideas kind of on the horizons.
Oh, well, not the big ideas. Bruh. Here's what, okay, I'm going to back us up because I know we're going to jump more into this. And there's some things I want to talk about because we've had the opportunity to talk a little bit. And, you know, I want people to understand about these great resources and these grants because there's one that I particularly would like to see if I qualify for. But first, I want to go, do you live in Oshkosh? How long have you lived around in this region?
So I actually grew up in like the Winchester, Winnie School District area. The farthest I've lived was Stevens Point. I started my freshman year of college at Stevens Point, and I ended up returning to this area and graduating from UW Oshkosh.
Oh, Titan.
Yeah, so I'm a proud Titan. Stayed in the area, and I've been working here in the Oshkosh community for over 20 years. I was an Oshkosh homeowner for about 10 years, and then returned to town of Winneconne. So I'm just outside of the Kosh now, but happy to be working here and love celebrating and sharing resources that are available to people in the Oshkosh area.
Okay, that's fair. And that is pretty cool. I mean, I can't think of better professional opportunities than those that get to serve others and actually uplift them in their positions that they are in.
Right.
Okay. If you weren't doing what you do professionally right now, what would you like to be doing?
Oh, wow. That's a big question. I feel like I could go a couple of different ways. Prior to getting more into this neighborhood work, well, let me just say that immediately before working at Oshkosh Healthy Neighborhoods, I was working for Habitat for Humanity for about 6 years and doing a lot of this neighborhood revitalization work, which I absolutely loved. What drew me to Oshkosh Healthy Neighborhoods was the connection that neighbors have with one another and the impact that they can have in helping people feel safe and connected and grounded and feeling that sense of belonging to where they're living is pretty amazing. Prior to Habitat, I was working at an organization called Parent Connection here in Oshkosh, and my role there was hosting events, basically. I was getting all of the folks together that were new parents here in Oshkosh and hosting opportunities for them to get connected. We actually called them group connections. And it was an opportunity for new parents who could meet other new parents that had kids the same age, that were going through the same kind of trials and tribulations of parenting, and giving them resources, getting them connected with one another, giving them an activity, getting them food to share and space to gather. And that was so fulfilling. So I guess going back to your original question, if I wasn't doing what I'm doing now, I would love to have my own event space that I could host gatherings, give people a place and a purpose to gather and celebrate all of the good things that are happening in their lives, in their community. One of the things that I do in my free time, mostly for friends and family, but sometimes other referrals, is actually wedding planning.
What?
Yeah.
Bruh. We gonna talk because, I'm going through this right now with my daughter.
Okay.
Oh.
So I know that kind of is coming out of left field, but I love planning and coordinating weddings because for some people, it can be so incredibly chaotic and so stressful.
Oh, yeah. The anxiety level's on 10.
Right. And I don't know what it is about my brain, but when people tell me that they're stressed out about their wedding planning or their wedding day or any really like special event or special day in their lives, I immediately want to take that burden and that stress off of them and say, give it to me. Like I will help you. I will help you work through this process and help you celebrate and help you enjoy that day so that you don't have to be stressed out about what's happening when and who needs to be where. And I just absolutely love every aspect of it. So usually I work with a handful of couples each year, and it's just something that I do in my spare time for fun.
Bruh. Liz, I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to get some listeners listening to you, and they're going to be like, can I get that number?
Right.
You might have just created a new entrepreneurial opportunity for yourself.
Well, I've been kind of doing it on the side for quite a while. It's been kind of, I don't know, about 8 years that people have been kind of recruiting me for this kind of stuff. And I probably would be doing it full time if I wasn't also a full-time mom. And my weekends are basically for my kids. So I do carve out some time for friends and family for like wedding weekends and things like that. But the rest of my spare time is like baseball tournaments and wrestling tournaments and things like that with my kids.
Uh-oh, you're in the thick of that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right. How many?
I have 2 kids, one in middle school and one in high school.
All right. Boys, girls?
One of each, actually.
Okay. No, when you get into sports, like it consumes everything.
Yeah.
Especially if they're on traveling teams and all that. I live that life.
Yesterday, we were at a baseball tournament all day, and it was so cold, and it was so windy, but it was so worth it. It was so worth it. It was so much fun. I was so excited to be out there cheering for my son's team, and I just absolutely love every minute of it, rain or shine.
See, the weather used to beat me up. My daughter did soccer, and the weather used to beat me up, but I will say this. When you get that group of parents and y'all have been traveling together for a little bit, that's a fun group of people to be around.
And that's another whole community that you can kind of feel supported by. And I feel like there are parents on my kids' teams that would, not to be dramatic, but like they would like take a bullet for my kids.
Yeah, they got your back.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like if, we've had situations where I've had to duck out and other parents have stepped up and, been pseudo parents to my kids. So I really appreciate that community. That's like another whole topic.
Oh, no, that's true. That is true. I used to love traveling with our team parents and then like doing things before games. Yeah. And let's not even get into tournament things because if you're at a tournament, then you got to find places to eat and do things in between games. Like, that's serious.
We had to go to a bar for a little while yesterday just to get out of the cold and wind in between games.
Oh, wait, let me just twist your arm. Let's just send you to the bar.
The food was better at the bar than it was at the tournament.
Oh, usually is. Yeah.
But we have to support the tournament, too, so we do buy some concessions.
Well, you got to. You're not going to sit at a game and not eat a burger, or a hot dog, some popcorn.
I usually go for the nachos.
Then it's always the nachos. Did they have walking tacos? Because that's my weakness.
They did. My son had that for lunch yesterday.
And that's my weakness. Something about that. Okay. Thank you. We made it past this. And we're going to roll into the next segment. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Next segment. And for you Kosh listeners, we are changing things up here in the Kosh format. So we're going to move into when you hear that sounds, that means it is time for the topic of the week. And the topic of the week is chosen by our guest 99.9% of the time. And guess what? This week isn't going to be any different. So, Liz, what is our topic of the week? I think I can make a pretty good assumption of what it is, but what is it?
Community, neighborhoods.
Facts. All right, let's jump in.
Okay. So, Oshkosh Healthy Neighborhoods has been around for about 9 years. We're kind of gearing up to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the organization and what we've been doing. So, like I mentioned before, when I was talking a little bit about my position, Oshkosh Healthy Neighborhoods develops and supports neighborhood associations throughout the city of Oshkosh. In the last 9 years, 26 neighborhoods have gone through a process of organizing and developing a support system and a core team of leaders that are in their designated area of whatever boundaries they create for their neighborhood association. There could be a variety of different sizes of neighborhood associations throughout the city. I believe our smallest one is about 66 parcels. And the one that is the biggest and probably one of the original or oldest neighborhood associations in Oshkosh has around 700 parcels.
Whoa, so a parcel is a home? Or basically, or a lot?
A lot. So a parcel could be a commercial property, it could be a residential property, it could be owner-occupied or a rental. So when we look at neighborhood association boundaries, we look at kind of all of those components of what's in that neighborhood and what are the features and kind of benefits of that neighborhood association. Some have neighborhood parks, some have city parks, some have businesses that are really involved and engaged in neighborhood activities. That might be hosting events or meetings or opportunities for people to gather. So it could be, a restaurant. It could be Leach Amphitheater is in the River East Neighborhood Association. So that could be a huge gathering space for people to get together and have an opportunity to celebrate different things, or maybe even host fundraisers. So there's a lot of different goals and reasons why neighborhood associations form. Sometimes they form as a result of an issue or a topic that neighbors are all trying to come together to address or solve a problem.
Do you get an example?
I do. So when I first started working for Habitat for Humanity, my original role there was to coordinate the Rock the Block program, which is a neighborhood revitalization program. And there was an association called Sacred Heart that kind of formed around the Sacred Heart Church over on Knapp Street. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the neighbors there were concerned about, most of their kids lived on, trying to picture the map here, most of their kids lived on the east side of Knapp Street, but attended school on the west side of Knapp Street at Franklin Elementary School. And Knapp is a pretty busy street where a lot of the kids were crossing. And
facts.
So parents were concerned that their children were crossing a very busy street. So they started talking to one another and saying, how do we get a collective voice? How do we get the city to listen to our concerns? So just the power of organizing and getting people together to reach a common goal can be really impactful. So this group of residents got together and they started talking to the city about doing something to make a crosswalk more identifiable and more prominent on Knapp Street so that their kids could safely cross to get to school in the morning and after school to get home. So that's just one example. Sacred Heart kind of started coming together to achieve this common goal. And because they were an active, kind of robust neighborhood association at that time, Habitat and Oshkosh Healthy Neighborhoods were offering this Rock the Block program. And we said, hey, you have neighborhood leaders that are active and engaged, and you're trying to do great things in your neighborhood. Here's another great thing that you could do. So we offered Rock the Block to them, and we started going around door to door talking to people about revitalization projects that they could do at their neighborhood park, which was Stegbauer Park, and things that they could do to their homes to just improve and increase the aesthetic of the neighborhood so that it was a more beautiful place to live, work, and play. And we ended up that first year working on 26 different properties in the neighborhood association, doing things like yard work that folks needed help with, whether it be weeding, raking, mulching, some landscaping projects. We were doing porch repairs. We were doing some painting. There was a Habitat home actually being built at that time in that neighborhood, which was really cool, that we actually had a future home buyer through Habitat working alongside of what would have been, or are now her current neighbors. She had an opportunity to meet people in her neighborhood. I'm probably going to say this over and over again today. When you give people opportunities to work together and work alongside of each other and actually sit down and share a meal together, I feel like that can be really powerful.
Oh, facts.
So that Rock the Block programming in the Sacred Heart neighborhood was really cool, and it was a really good opportunity for a future home buyer who was going to be moving into that neighborhood to sit down with folks that she was going to be living near and around and just have some shared experience and just work alongside of each other. It could just be raking leaves or pulling weeds, but it's an experience that they shared together, and then they were able to sit down and have lunch together and maybe share contact information and just feel like you are becoming a part of that neighborhood.
But yeah, you belong.
Right, exactly.
Right? When you're neighbors, when you connect with your neighbors, then you feel like you belong.
Right.
I get that. You know why I get that? You know what makes me feel like I belong in this neighborhood?
What's that?
Bosco, the podcast dog. And I'm going to tell you why. Because no one knows my name, but everybody knows his. So I can walk up and down this block, and I'm not even kidding. He'll get like 10 people and little kids yelling out the window, hey, Bosco, hey, Bosco. So and it's like, this dude right here makes me feel like I fit.
I have a favorite neighborhood dog that lives not on my street, but like the next street over. His name is Murphy. And I literally will wave to him when he's in the front yard, like, hey, Murphy, what's up?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
He's my favorite neighborhood dog. And he's always just like hanging out in the front yard. And I'm always so happy to see him.
Yep. And Bosco is the dude that, like, he can't walk by you and not say hello. Like, he's got to take a little time. He wants you to go on and scratch his head. He's like, dude, like, and if I try to keep walking, he's like, nah, I need this time.
Yeah.
So that's what he does.
Everybody.
He's got to say hi to everybody.
Dogs can really bring people together.
They do. They
especially in neighborhoods.
Do. So my next question goes to, what does a healthy neighborhood look like? Like, I think that's, like, if this is what the organization does, and this is the goal of it, I don't know if everybody understands what that really looks like or what goes into that.
Right. So when I was considering taking this position at Oshkosh Healthy Neighborhoods, I started asking myself that same question. What is a healthy neighborhood? How do you define that? And for me, it really comes down to a few things. I think a healthy neighborhood is a place where people feel safe, they have resources, and they feel like they have connections and opportunities to talk with one another, know each other. So I feel like Oshkosh Healthy Neighborhoods does a really great job of providing some of those opportunities. So like I was talking about before with that Neighborhood Alliance group, every month we get folks together from what we call their core team. So when a neighborhood association forms, we ask them to appoint or nominate or volunteer for these core positions. And it could be a neighborhood communicator, so that point person to share information. Those are people that are maintaining contact lists, running a social media like Facebook page, running a Nextdoor app for their neighborhood and posting things so that people can feel connected, and organizing events, whether it be monthly neighborhood meetings, whether it be an annual meeting. Block parties are a really, really fun opportunity to get people outside, and we work with neighborhood associations to provide some opportunities for them to do that, and work with the city planning department or the parks department to get maybe like a street closed down for a day so that all of the neighbors could get together to, provide some food, provide some activities and opportunities for connections. So going back to your question, safety, connection, resources, belonging, and then kind of like the next level of that, which is a little less important than some of those key things, is just like the overall aesthetic of the neighborhood. I feel like when grants and opportunities are available for people to fix up their properties, they take greater pride in home ownership. They take greater pride in, how their neighborhood just looks aesthetically. So if I can, I'll talk a little bit about the Good Neighbor grants. Yeah.
What do you mean? Come on now. Yes.
So we are currently in an application period of our annual Good Neighbor grants. So we offer reimbursement of up to $750 for basically curb appeal projects. So they're called Good Neighbor grants because sometimes it can spark a fire, not a literal fire, but it can influence neighborhoods to
get into it, because once somebody, it's like Christmas lights. Right. Once the first person hangs them, all of a sudden your neighborhood starts hanging Christmas lights. Right.
It's about like mowing your lawn too. Like if you see your neighbor mowing the lawn, you're like peer pressured into, okay, now it's time for me to get out the mower and mow the lawn too.
Oh, Liz, you must know my neighbors, because that's a thing around here.
So Good Neighbor grants are funded by some generous local donors. We have a local foundation here in Oshkosh that helps support some of the funds that we reimburse for these neighborhoods. So anyone living in an established neighborhood association, so one of the 26 that we currently have, are all eligible to apply for these grants. So it's a very simple Google form online. You can find it on our website. We budget for a certain number of grants per year, but then we also fundraise to supplement so that we can offer more. In the last we haven't been doing the Good Neighbor grants for 9 years. In the last 4 years, I believe it is, the neighborhoods have actually invested over $500,000 in some of these projects, and the Good Neighbor grants have reimbursed just over $190,000 of that $534,000 in neighborhood improvements. So when someone comes to us and asks for a Good Neighbor grant, they might have a project that only costs $500. We ask that the homeowner or the person that's applying for the grant contributes the first $250, and then we reimburse up to $750. So if it's only a $500 project, they might be buying $500 worth of landscaping materials.
Right.
They can do the project themselves, and we reimburse up to $750. So if it's only a $500 project, they pay $250. We reimburse the other $250. But if it's a $1,000 project, they pay $250. We reimburse $750. If it's over $1,000, it could be a $10,000 concrete project. Like they might be repouring a really badly damaged concrete driveway or walkway. They might be replacing some concrete or front porch or something like that, or repainting the house. If the project is upwards of $10,000, the grant is still $750. So they pay $250, we reimburse $750, and then the rest is theirs to pay. So that's where that $500,000 plus investment comes from the neighborhoods, and then out of that money, we've reimbursed just over $190,000. So I'm really excited about that we are encouraging neighborhoods to spend and invest in the aesthetic and the overall appeal of their neighborhoods to make it a better and more attractive place to live, work, and play. We also encourage them to tap into local contractors. So we're helping, the local businesses with landscape work, painting work, concrete work. They might be replacing windows, siding, gutters. So it's creating that energy and the desire for people to, like I said, take more pride into their property and love where they live and take care of it.
So and I asked this because the way that I met you was through a conversation. Where do block parties and stuff fall into this?
That's a great question. Because I love events, I love celebrations.
I love a good block party.
So block parties are an option for neighborhood associations, and it's a very simple process. We actually had a neighborhood alliance meeting this month where we had a guest speaker from the Parks Department come and talk about that process and kind of where the line is between a block party and a special event. So all of the neighborhood associations are eligible for basically, I don't know if I should say free services, but the neighborhood associations are able to have their block party permit waived by the city. So every neighborhood can have a block party. It's not going to cost anything. So the streets department will come up and put barricades on either end of the block so that it's safe for people to be out in the street. As long as the neighborhood association is doing a potluck and providing their own activities and things like that and not bringing in a ton of outside services or resources, that's just something that can just organically happen and it doesn't cost anything. If they're bringing in food trucks or catering and they're selling food or drinks or something like that, that's where it kind of crosses over into a special event. And then there's different permits and insurance liabilities and whatnot. But a simple block party is something that every neighborhood association can do every year, and it doesn't cost anything. If they wanted to provide something to the neighbors during some of these events, Oshkosh Healthy Neighborhoods actually has something called Community Building and Engagement Dollars. So we actually provide $1,000 per neighborhood per year that they can utilize for this community building and engagement effort. So if their community building and engagement effort is a block party, we can provide money to purchase food that the neighbors might grill, on their own grills. We might provide that money for an activity like a bounce house for the kids or something like that.
Yeah, bouncy house.
Yeah, it could also be used for entertainment. So if you're bringing in music and you want to, pay a band or a musician to provide entertainment at your block party, that could cross over into special event permitting depending on the sound level and whatnot. But right. Those are all things that I would encourage neighborhood associations to talk to Parks Department about just to make sure that they're following all the rules. But if it's a simple block party, no cost whatsoever. If it's more of a special event, which is great, we would encourage that too. We just ask that you go through the proper channels for that. But we have that $1,000 available for each neighborhood each year to use and encourage them to gather and celebrate. And sometimes that does cost money. Sometimes you might need paper plates and,
You definitely
napkins
do.
and serving utensils to gather and things like that.
Absolutely.
So there's a variety of different ways that people can use that community building engagement money, but it's there. And that's something that we provide to all of those groups each year.
All right. So, okay. So there's $1,000 out there for y'all.
Yeah.
If y'all have a neighborhood association, or if your neighborhood is labeled a neighborhood association, and y'all might want to, it doesn't have to be a block party. It's some type of community building activity or event.
It could be a separate event. It could just be like a night out
Cornhole
at the
tourney.
park. Yeah. It could be a tournament. It could be a fundraiser.
No.
The River East Neighborhood Association just recently built birdhouses, and they had a birdhouse painting event around Mother's Day. So just like a fun art activity that kids could do to paint a birdhouse for mom or whoever. And if you wanted to make a donation to the neighborhood association, it could be a fundraiser. I'm just thinking of one recently was the Quarry Park Neighborhood Association had something called Pie Day, and they actually sold pies like around March 14th.
I was going to say, was this March 14th day?
Yeah. So they had something called Pie Day where it was kind of a bake sale, and they could use that as like a fundraiser, but just to like reimburse for some of the cost of putting that event on could be used for community building engagement.
Okay. So what's the process look like to become a neighborhood?
Oh, great question. So we actually just had a meeting recently. We hired last week or the week before a new neighborhood coordinator, because when I took this role back in February, the retiring executive director was on his way out, and then there were 2 part-time employees that were both college students. One graduated in December and the other one graduated yesterday.
Well,
yeah, congratulations, Emma.
Congratulations.
So we unfortunately are losing our 2 part-time staffers, and I had to create a position to fill both of their roles. So we recently hired a neighborhood coordinator, and she just met with a gentleman last week who said, I'm interested, like, how do I get this started? So she sat down with him and kind of walked through the process. And if you have someone or multiple people in a neighborhood that want to organize, that want to get together and create a means to communicate with one another, maybe accomplish some common goals, the first thing to do is talk to one another. So try to get other people around you interested in doing this. What we typically do is we send out a mailing after we've kind of established what's a logical boundary for that space. And it could include schools, it could include parks or businesses that might be able to contribute to like the overall health of the neighborhood, I guess I would say. But just establishing those boundaries, and then we work with the city planning department to send out a mailing. So we get a mailing list of all of the addresses in that designated area, and we host an organizing meeting. So there's a process that we go through where we talk about what are the perks and benefits of becoming a neighborhood association. We explain that it's not the same as a homeowners association. So this is something that's completely voluntary. There aren't really any rules. And
are there any costs?
No, there's no cost associated with participating, and you actually get funds for becoming organized. So you get funds through Oshkosh Healthy Neighborhoods, and then you also have access to additional resources through the city planning department, which is amazing. One thing that I didn't talk about was Great Neighborhoods, and that's actually a city program that can help enhance the health of neighborhoods by applying funds to public spaces. So not necessarily owner-occupied properties, but public spaces within a neighborhood association, like a park, like the terraces. If there is unused green space that could have some signage or some art, if there is public space that could have a mural or something, those are all options for Great Neighborhoods funding through the city. And one example that I'll give for that before I go back to the process, I'm going to do another shout out to Quarry Park Neighborhood Association. I was just talking about their Pie Day, but they are actually utilizing some Great Neighborhoods funds to plant flowers all along the terraces in one section of their neighborhood association.
Okay.
So sort of similar to the Marigold Mile.
I was going to say kind of like
in Appleton.
Yeah, I was going to say like the Miracle Mile.
Yeah. So Quarry Park Neighborhood Association is actually planting what they are referring to as Quarry Park Gold. So there will actually be marigolds all up and down the terrace on several blocks of the Quarry Park Neighborhood Association. So shout out to them for that. But when we have these organizing meetings, we talk about Good Neighbor Grants, we talk about community building and engagement funds, we talk about great neighborhoods, and the fact that it's all voluntary. Like we want people to gather, we want people to feel connected, we want people to feel like they belong. So let's designate this area. Let's get together, talk about these resources. Let's assign some core team members. So who's going to be the communicator? Who's going to be the tracker to track volunteer hours? Who's going to be the event planner? Who's going to be the social media person? Who's going to run the Facebook page? Who's going to be the alliance group representative? Because we want representation from each neighborhood each month when we gather to share more information and resources. We need somebody who is going to be sort of a treasurer of like the funds and tracking how and if and when they are spending some of the funds for community building and engagement. So once we have that, we ask them to come up with a name. The last organizing meeting that we had, I think there were close to 20 different options that people had suggested for naming their neighborhood. The most recent group that organized was Sunset West, and they actually came up what I would say close to 20 names. But quickly, within about 10 minutes, we just had everybody go around the room, like show of hands, like what are your favorites? We narrowed it down to 3. And then by the end of the meeting, we had it narrowed down to Sunset West. But it's a great name, and it's very fitting for their group because they're actually on the west side of Oshkosh over by the 20th Ave YMCA. And their borders actually end at Clareville Road, which is actually like the western boundary of the city of Oshkosh. And the sun always sets down there, beautiful sunsets, so they decided on Sunset West. We also have them talk about their mission, vision, and values for their neighborhood association. And then they agree to have at least one annual event so that they can gather. And then it's kind of up to them to organize kind of as needed or regularly. Some groups meet monthly, some are quarterly, some are just once or twice a year.
How is the neighborhood boundary figured out? Like,
that's a good question.
Because I mean, that's a thing. Like, right? How do you know where to stop and start?
Yeah, it's definitely unique to whatever area of the city that we're talking about. So this last group that was organized is, I think, one of, if not the smallest. I think it's around 66 parcels, but it does include a landscape company that was really interested in being involved. It includes a privately owned garden called the Garden of Edna, which was actually a garden that a gentleman started that he kind of opens up to anybody. So it's on his private property, but he wants it to be a garden that he shares with the community, something that he started planting flowers for his mom, and his mom is Edna. So he said, come to the garden, enjoy it, share it with people that you love. And so this particular neighborhood includes that landscaping company, the Garden of Edna. The 20th Ave Y was gracious and willing to allow them to host their meetings there. Mm-hmm. So they have a gathering space. And then there's just really 2 roads off of 20th Ave with homeowners. So it's a small area, but I think what's important to have within those boundaries is obviously residents that want to get to know each other and want to interact with one another, but businesses can be incredibly helpful, especially if they have space for people to get together. And if there aren't commercial properties or businesses that are willing or able or available or even there to be engaged, having a green space or a park or a pavilion or something, or even a school to have a place for people to kind of go to and say, this is our kind of town hall space.
Okay. So somebody's listening to this podcast and they're saying, I'm about that life. Bruh, I want to do that.
Yeah.
What can they expect when they call?
Well, we would definitely want to meet with you. Like, we want to get to know you. We want to find out, why do you want to organize? Like, what do you want to accomplish from, getting this group of people together? We're right downtown Oshkosh. We're actually on North Main Street in the U.S. Bank building. So we can either come to you or you are welcome to come to us so that we can sit down and talk about that.
I didn't think anything was in that building. It's good to know y'all are there because I didn't think I really didn't think anything was in that building.
Yeah, the bank is on the first floor. We're on the second floor we actually share office space with the Greater Oshkosh Economic Development Corporation.
Okay.
Which is really great because we get to see a lot of the excitement that's happening there and kind of hear some of the stuff that's going on. Across the hall from us is the Winnebago Literacy Council.
Ooh, okay.
And that's super exciting, and they host a lot of different things.
Yeah, they do. They're cool.
Yeah, a lot of opportunities for people to learn and grow, and a lot of excitement and energy there. The third floor of that building is completely empty right now, but it's being renovated, and I think maybe the fourth and fifth floor might be under construction too. So there's not a lot going on, but I think there's going to be soon. But anyway, if somebody were to reach out to us and say, how do I get started on this? We would want to meet with you. We want to get to know what your hopes, goals, and dreams for your neighborhood are. And then we would be in contact with city planning to get that mailing together and send it out and find out what the interest is with your general area. And if there isn't a great response, I think that knocking on doors is incredibly powerful too. I think with this last group, the Sunset West neighborhood that I just mentioned, it's a really small area residentially, but one of the things that they did when they started gathering is they said, we want to have this meeting. And there was a little bit of debate of like what the boundaries actually were going to be. And they had a meeting date in mind. And there was only about 2 weeks to get the mailing out between when they decided what the boundaries were actually going to be and when they wanted the meeting to happen. So instead of mailing out the invites for the meeting, a few of the neighborhood leaders decided to go door to door and actually invite people to the meeting in person.
Well, that's going to work much better.
It was one of the best attended organizing meetings in the history of our organization. There were around 30 people there out of the 66 parcels, which I think is a pretty great attendance rate.
I think that's a very high attendance rate.
So it was a nice group of people that were really engaged and interested in what we were doing and why we were doing it, and why their neighbors wanted it to happen. So I thought that was really cool. So I think just kind of going around and meeting people and just talking to them about what they're interested in and just giving a platform to organize and be a collective voice for something is pretty powerful.
So how do people reach out? And what are the ways to contact?
Yeah. So like I said, we're on the second floor of that U.S. Bank building. The address is 111 North Main Street. We're in Suite 204 with Greater Oshkosh Economic Development Corporation. We are also online, so you can visit us at gohni.org. A lot of people call us GoHNI or Oshkosh Healthy Neighborhoods, but you can visit us there. We also have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram page, or you can just call my office. You can call me at 920-230-2717. Be happy to talk to you. We meet monthly at the Oshkosh Senior Center. So another way to just learn a little bit more about us is the second Monday of every month. We meet at the Senior Center from 6 to 7 p.m. We try to keep it under an hour because people are busy, and it's a lot to ask for people to come down and meet in person each month. But we always have really great guest speakers. We have reminders every month about the programs and services that we offer, some of the resources that we have. So that's a great time to come and just ask questions and meet other neighborhood leaders that are doing some things that you might be interested in doing.
Well, let me ask this. Is there anything in particular that you should have prepared before you reach out? And then also, is there any additional information you'd like to share with the Oshkosh listeners that maybe you haven't had an opportunity to share yet?
Sure. So one thing that I would definitely encourage people to do if they're listening and they're wondering, do I live in an established neighborhood association?
Well, I'm thinking that if to be perfectly honest, while you're sharing with us, that I'm thinking, I wonder, do we fit? I know we have one next to us,
right?
but I don't know if we fall in that neighborhood.
Yeah, so on our website, we actually have an interactive map that the city of Oshkosh helped us create that actually identifies the 26 neighborhood associations. So you can actually type your address into that site, and it will tell you if you live in a recognized neighborhood association or not. So if you do, reach out to us. If you are not connected to some of those neighborhood leaders and those people that are organizing and participating or hosting events, we can get you connected to that core team so that you can get more engaged. We can send you a link to their Facebook pages. We can give you names and contact information for some of those leaders. If you find that you are not currently in an established neighborhood association, but what you're hearing in this discussion is something that appeals to you and you want to get involved, you want to organize, and you want to tap into some of these resources, reach out to me directly. Go to gohni.org, call our office. I didn't share my email, but it's pretty easy to remember. It's just lizlast@gohni.org. Reach out and just say, hey, I really like what I'm hearing. I'm interested in organizing. You may have talked to some of your neighbors. If you hadn't, that's a good starting point. Talk to some of your neighbors and say, is this something that you're interested in? It does require a group of people in order to make something happen. So it can start with one and talking to other people and just getting that collective voice together to figure out, what is the space that we want to kind of claim as our boundaries, and why do we want to organize? What do we want to accomplish? And it could be something as simple as just getting to know one another and just feeling connected, feeling safer because you know your neighbor's name. You might only know their dogs' names, but you want to know their names too. And you want to,
so true.
Yeah, you want to know if your kids go to school together, and you want to, build that team and that community around where you're living so that you feel more grounded and connected to where you are.
I think we covered that.
Great.
All right. Hey, Liz.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Now we're going to actually jump into the rest of the podcast.
Okay.
Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. The next segment is called What in the World is Going On With? And that is your opportunity to share with the Kosh listeners. You start with the phrase, what in the world, and tell us what's on your mind. So.
Well, this probably has nothing to do with anything we're talking about today, but the first thing that comes to mind is what in the world is going on with food prices lately?
Ooh, facts.
So I was talking earlier about tournaments and youth sports, and yesterday I was, away from home all day, and we had to leave to go, grab some lunch at one point. And the restaurant price was not terrible for lunch, but then on the way home, by the time we played, 3 more games, we were hungry again and stopped at a fast food place on the way home. And I swear it was more expensive to get drive-through food than it was to actually sit down at a restaurant.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was thinking that to myself last night, as I was going to sleep, what in the world is going on with fast food prices? And I probably should just not eat as much fast food and just...
No, that's that lifestyle.
I know. It's so hard not to do it.
Well, you've got to almost, because what else are you going to do? But I agree with you. There's times, me and my wife have this all the time, where there's times where we're sitting there and we're like, okay, we should totally... let's grab this to eat. But then she'll say, you know what? We could easily just go sit down at our favorite Mexican restaurant and it would be the same price as buying all the stuff that we would buy at Taco Bell or buying at McDonald's, Burger King, or whatnot, right?
And much better food.
And I mean, because once you get done, once you pull in the drive-thru, you're like, oh, let me get one of these. Oh, man, let me get some of those nuggets. Oh, I saw this promotion. Yeah. Can I get some of those too? And the next thing you know, you're $25-$30 down.
Yeah. And I feel like just buying a soft drink at fast food is like buying a whole meal. You just get a soda.
That's how they get you.
I know.
Those and the fries. So the main thing may be cheap. But then you add fries and a soft drink, and that's where all of the cost is.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah. Okay. I like that one. That is a good what in the world is going on with.
Yeah.
Okay. My what in the world is what in the world is going on with fake flowers?
Bruh.
Okay. Now,
Good one.
here's what's going on. My wife loves the garden, right? She does her flowers every year. It's that time of the year. We're getting ready to do things. We also do a vegetable garden for our salsa and a hot sauce. Those that know. So I'm digging around and I see this package of, I don't know what it is. It's just wrapped really tight in cellophane, right? I was like, hey, what is this? I pick it up. She's like, hey, don't touch that. Don't touch that. I was like, okay, right? Which makes me even more curious. I want to see what's up with it. She's like, don't ask me any questions about it yet. I was like, okay, which makes me only more curious about it, right? So then later on, she goes, well, okay, here's what's going on. Now, we always plant flowers in a couple of spots around our house. Like there's a little plot next to the house, and then she has multiple pots outside the house, right? And she usually, we go spend a bunch of money, put these flowers in and do this thing. She's like, I saw this somewhere. I don't know. I'm going to assume social media because she ain't got a TikTok because that stuff's evil. I'm just keeping it real.
Yeah.
And
I tried it. I hated it.
I just don't want to lose that much time.
Right.
So it's these fake flowers that last year around. Now they look amazing, right? But they don't fade. You don't water. They look real. That's it.
Yeah.
So you plant them, or you I don't know do you still call it planting if they're fake?
You place them somewhere? I don't know.
I like that you place them, right? And then they just exist, right? And you can leave them out year round. And so she did this. And I'm impressed with how they look. I'm kind of like,
Bruh.
all right, these don't look that bad. Now, my question to her was, are these really going to hold up through a Wisconsin winter and all that kind of stuff?
The snow and ice and rain would like fade them, maybe?
That's what I was thinking, but supposedly she did I think she got these from Amazon. So, I'm a big believer and I'm always on her case. Can you read the reviews? Don't just randomly buy.
Yeah.
Can you read the reviews? And supposedly the reviews were good. So
I've seen some really realistic fake plants and flowers that look pretty amazing.
right. So she has started planting them, and now I'm kind of like, and they look really, really good, but I want to see how they hold up through the test of time.
Yeah. We'll see. Time will tell.
Yes. But that is my what in the world is going on with, because I don't know how I feel about it, because there's something about the real deal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to cheat the process necessarily, but if the way that flour costs, once again, we're going to just circle back to budget, right?
Bruh.
The way that flour costs have also gone up, because it's not cheap to plant a garden or plant flowers. If I can buy fake ones and they continue to look good and they last for several years,
Yeah, that's awesome.
that math might math.
Then it's money well spent.
That math might math.
Yeah.
All right. And, and if I do it right, maybe I can just go ahead and write a grant.
Wow.
And, just maybe there's possibilities there.
It might be good neighbor grant incentives for that.
Yeah, I'm just saying it might be. All right. So that is my what in the world is going on with.
Good one.
I think you're going to go out here and look for some of those.
I might. I just spent Mother's Day weekend planting a bunch of stuff, and now I'm thinking maybe I should have got fake.
See, and we're at the point that my wife is an internal clock, like, you need to till the garden. You need to till the garden.
Yeah.
It's time to till. It's time to till. And I'm like, but it's wet and it's moist. And I'm like, nah, we got to wait until at least it's dry. It does you no good if you till and it's still mucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is my what in the world is going on with. Okay. So I think right now is the perfect time for a brittle break.
Oh, awesome.
You game for a brittle break?
I am.
All right. Kosh listeners, as you know, we take a little time for a brittle break, and we're going to start with this right here.
Hey, Timber, this is awesome.
This is Yao.
Hashtag the Brittle Daddies. Timber, every week you have these amazing guests that come on your show. And we want to give them something for being part of your experience.
Let's give them the cashew brittle. It's the smoothest brittle that you'll ever taste.
Oh, the cashew. Yeah, give this to someone who's got a nice, delightful, and smooth story.
And if your listeners want to find out more about Share's Ghana-style brittle, they should go to www.sharesgsb.com.
That sounds about right. All right, we're out.
Deuces.
All right. So that is the beginning of our brittle break of Share's Ghana style brittle. And as you heard, we are doing the cashew style. So Liz, have a bite. Try some.
I'm excited to try this.
Yeah.
Oh, it's delicious.
Oh, yeah. This stuff makes me happy every time.
I'm like a sweet and salty kind of person. So I like the saltiness of it too.
Oh, it's hidden. You know what? It lives in that space.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I don't like overly sweet things. Like I can't do too much sugar, but this is like sweet and salty at the same time.
Oh, yeah. And you know what's different about it than most brittle?
What's up?
It doesn't stick to your teeth.
Good point. Yeah, this is awesome.
I love the texture of this. So let us send a huge shout out to our friends over there at Share's, Yao and Orson. And thank you so much for sponsoring the Brittle Break. Okay, we are on to the next segment. And the next segment is called 21 Questions. Now,
That's a lot.
yeah. Well, the good thing about that, Liz, is there's not 21 questions. It's just what we call it. Yeah, they're just really in-depth questions that may cause 21 answers because they're such good questions.
I see.
All right. So, you ready to jump in?
I think so.
All right. First question is, what motivates you?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say people. People definitely motivate me. Good people that want to do good things. Kindness. I feel more motivated when I'm in a space where people are being kind and productive, and I just want to keep that moving. And more on a surface level, I would say music can be really motivating for me. That's something I've found over the last several years, switching into more of like a work from home or hybrid remote sort of thing. Sometimes like when you're home alone and you're trying to be productive and trying to work from home, just like blasting some music just to kind of like get your energy level up and stay focused, I find very helpful.
What worries you?
Oh, what worries me? Injustice?
In whatever.
In whatever.
Yes,
Everything.
Everything. What
All
worries you?
aspects.
All aspects.
You're moving on to the next one? Or are you...
No, I'm waiting.
Am I elaborating on more?
Yeah. No. Oh, no, I didn't catch it.
Oh, I just said injustice.
Injustice. Oh, okay. Injustice.
Yeah.
Got it.
Like all aspects of injustice.
Okay. No, that's fair.
Worries me.
What does success look like to you?
I think that success can look very different to different people in different situations. But I think generally speaking, I feel successful when I'm happy and I'm at peace and able to serve other people and help bring people together. But like on a broader scale, I think that people are generally successful when they're doing something that they love, regardless of money, regardless of reward, physical reward. I think that just doing something that brings you joy and purpose would be success for me.
What irritates you?
Rude people. More specifically, people who are rude to service workers, like in restaurants, in retail, customers who are rude to employees is just one of my biggest pet peeves. And like in restaurants, if you're a customer and you're upset with the quality of the food or, the pace of the service, there's a whole series of events that happen before you get to the result that you want, like the food that you ordered. And being rude to the server, really, it's just so mean. Like the server might not have anything to do with how fast-paced the kitchen is or the quality of the food or the ingredients. And I just think just be nice. Just be nice to people. And if you're not, that's a huge pet peeve of mine.
What scares you?
I like to think that I'm pretty fearless, but I don't know. Nothing really comes to mind in particular. Like some of the most common ones, I'm not like afraid of spiders or snakes or the dark. I am a little afraid of heights. So I guess I'm scared of falling from a really high place.
I think that's fair. Me too.
Most people probably.
Okay. What are you grateful for?
I am very grateful for my family, especially my kids. I feel like they inspire me every day. I'm grateful for the joy that they bring to my life, all of the happiness, like all of the milestones, just everything about them. I am just so thankful that they're in my lives.
What do you want to be remembered for?
I would like to be remembered as a good person who was always willing to help people or is always willing to help people. I want my kids to remember me as a good mom, who's always trying, not perfect, but always trying, and just loving unconditionally and, trying to bring happiness and joy and connection to people.
How do you define love?
Oh, that's a great question. I love that question. To me, love is synonymous with respect. I feel like you can't truly love somebody unless you respect them for who they are, where they're coming from, challenges that they've faced, different lenses that they have, different communication styles, and just trying to work together and work with one another and just having that admiration and respect for somebody. Love isn't possible without that.
What is the most memorable life lesson that you've learned from a parent, a guardian, or a mentor?
This is also a really, really great question. This is something that came up just recently. I don't think I've mentioned this yet, but I recently, this last week, started a journey with the Nonprofit Leadership Institute in the Fox Valley through the Community Foundation. And I think this came up in some of those conversations when we were talking about communication styles. So a former mentor in a previous position that I had a Post-it note or like a piece of paper on her computer at her desk. And this was somebody who was my supervisor, kind of my go-to, definitely a mentor. But she had this note as a reminder to herself. And the note said, "Why are you talking?" And I didn't notice it right away, but this was somebody that I would go to if I needed to vent, if I needed to talk through a problem or an issue or just something that I needed to work out. I think sometimes people just need a listening ear and don't necessarily need advice. And sometimes if you have a problem and you just need to talk through to a solution, you can kind of come up with the solution on your own. And from a leadership standpoint, this person made a point to remind herself to not interrupt, not give advice unless it was needed, and be that listening ear for people. So as a parent, as a leader, as a partner, sometimes I have to remind myself that I don't always need to be the one doing the talking. Sometimes I just need to listen. So I think that's probably some of the best advice that I've ever kind of inherited from a mentor is that I don't always need to be the one that's talking. Sometimes if my kids or team members or my spouse or, anybody who is kind of looking to me might just need me to listen and help them figure out a solution on their own without saying too much, because sometimes they might already have the answer. They just need the reassurance that, you know, their line of thinking and kind of where they're going with something is on the right track.
I love that. Okay, let me set the stage. You have been chosen to keynote some amazing conference that is about subject matter that you care deeply about. It's a group of your peers. You got to get out there and kill the game. But before you do this, there must be walkout music.
Oh, I love that.
What is your walkout song?
Oh, that's a lot of pressure to pick just one.
Well, you can pick. No one said you got to have one. Maybe you got a DJ. You need several.
Well, I'm the team DJ for my son's baseball team.
Bruh.
So,
Oh, wow. Wait, there's secret talent you're not telling me about you? You're the team DJ?
I am the queen of walkout songs for 12-year-old boys who play baseball.
This was fantastic.
So, yeah, that's how I spent most of my day yesterday at that tournament, was doing the warm-up music, doing the walkout songs. So I feel like this is a really, really heavy question because there's a lot that goes into that. But if I had to pick just one, and I think that if I were a keynote speaker, it would probably be about building connections and bringing people together. So the one song that comes to mind is called Find Your People. It's by an artist, Drew Holcomb, and the Neighbors. And it's a song about finding people that you feel connected to, that understand the jokes, that understand where you're coming from, that you feel like you don't necessarily have to explain yourself to because they just get you. And you might not have those people in every aspect of your life, but it's important to have them. And I listen to the song all the time. And I have a group of friends that I love to camp with, I love to hike with, I love to bike with. And those are the people that they get the jokes. There's like inside stories. There's shared experiences. These are people that just like get me. And I can sit around a campfire and I can sing at the top of my lungs. And I just love being around them. And I think that this community building work, this neighborhood work, this team building work is so important because I think everybody should have opportunities to find their people. And whether that's in your neighborhood, whether it's on a sports team, whether it's in your workplace, whether it's in your friend group, you have to find your people.
Facts. Next segment. The next segment is called Word Association. And in this segment, what we do is I say words and you tell us what comes to your mind.
Okay.
And we might need to flush it out a little bit.
Okay.
Now, we have a long tradition here at the Kosh.
Bruh.
And that is this. We have started with the same word almost every episode. It is the word of unity, of community, of family, of love. And that word is food.
Oh, love that. So what comes to mind when you say food?
Yep.
My favorite lunch spot is Sweet Jules.
Sweet Jules.
Yes. So Sweet Jules is an amazing local spot for soups, scones, cookies, cheesecake, all amazing, delicious things. It's my favorite place. If I have time to like run a few blocks from where we are now at Oshkosh Healthy Neighborhoods, if I have time to just run in and grab a cup of soup and a scone and like a little slice of cheesecake or a cookie, that's like my favorite place to go for lunch.
I love this.
Yeah, and Jules is so sweet too. So, hi, Jules.
All right. I don't know where this place is at.
So they are on the corner of, well, kind of around the corner from Main and Merritt, I believe.
Okay.
The space used to be Hot Dog Charlie's.
Oh, that's where they're at. Okay, I know exactly where you're
Yep,
talking.
That's where Sweet Jules is now.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to check them out. You got me.
Bruh.
Okay. Cocktail or beer?
I'm not a beer drinker, but the last place that I met some friends for cocktails was Bar 430.
Ooh.
And they had a whole variety of different kinds of mojitos that were pretty delicious. I think it had blueberry lemon, or maybe it was just blueberry, but it was really good.
It is mojito season because when you can get fresh mint, it is about that life.
Yep.
Okay, is that your go-to? Do you have a go-to?
I would say rum, like out of any drinks, like any kind of rum drinks.
Just a rum drink.
Yep.
It ain't got to be a rum and Coke. It's just got to have rum in it.
Yeah. Rum and pineapple juice, rum and Coke, mojitos. Yeah.
Okay. Shop local.
Oh, Oshkosh Food Co-op.
Facts.
My favorite place to get groceries now. I haven't been getting a ton of groceries, but like if I need like just like some quick things, I'm like, why am I going to, one of these like big box grocery stores when I can go here? And there's more variety. There's really cool, unique things. I just recently started shopping there, and I really, really like the Oshkosh Food Co-op.
Well, we have an episode with that manager. You should check that out.
I will, for sure.
Yes. Music.
Leech Amphitheater. Great place for live music. I love outdoor music venues. So I think that's it's a cool feature of Oshkosh. And I absolutely love live music, and I love being outside.
You go to Waterfest?
I have. I don't go frequently. A lot of the concerts that I go to, I end up traveling all over. A couple of bands that I really like tend to only play in like Madison, Milwaukee area. So I usually go out for those venues. But if I can get them to come local and play in Oshkosh, that would be amazing.
Okay, what's the band? Who should we be trying to recruit in?
So one of my all-time favorites is The Last Revel. So I think one of the guys is from Wisconsin and the other two are from Minnesota. So they kind of tour all over, but usually when they come through Wisconsin, Madison or Milwaukee are the closest areas, sometimes like Wausau area. So I always try to get to them, but they're just amazingly talented. It's kind of like folk, Americana, bluegrass, all combined into one, and they're just amazing.
Streaming.
True crime.
Ooh, okay, tell us more.
Yeah, I know that's kind of a weird answer because I generally see myself as like a very positive, upbeat person, but I'm very intrigued by true crime because I feel like people's minds are so interesting, and I like being able to just think about how other people view the world and how people think differently than me, I guess, and what makes people tick and what makes people do certain things. I'm always interested in like hearing the backstory of people who commit crimes and why they do it, and kind of maybe what has influenced them throughout their life to make the choices that they've made. So I'm fascinated by true crime.
Are we podcasting true crime, or are we watching true crime stories on?
Both.
Oh, I was going to say, you're just all in.
Yeah, I guess when when I have some free time, I like to unwind with murder mysteries.
Bruh. Well, you know what? You ain't judged because I do it.
Yeah. There was one a podcast that I got hooked on called Serial.
Oh, yeah. Serial is so good.
Yeah. So I was like on any like long car rides, I'll just start listening to that and try to get to the bottom of what's happening. But also like, streaming like TV, Netflix, Amazon Prime, all of that. Just different true crime series, different documentaries. I love learning about people.
I can get down with that. I have a true crime podcast that I'm religious about it. When they release that episode on Fridays, like that is the drive. Yeah. That is either the drive to work or the drive home, but either way, it's getting listened to.
Yeah.
Last word. Community.
Oshkosh Healthy Neighborhoods, obviously.
Bruh.
We're trying to build community and bring people together and just help people feel more connected and that they belong where they are and have a great place to live, work, and play.
What's needed to have community and build community?
Collaboration, for sure. I feel like this area, the city of Oshkosh, is very... What is the word that I want to use? It's it has a wealth of resources. And I feel like some of those resources are untapped. I feel like sometimes people don't know what they don't know.
Oh, absolutely.
So I see part of my mission is just sharing that information with people so that they can learn about what they don't know. I know when I came here today, you said that you've been in this area for 33 years.
Yeah.
And you're just now learning about like some of these Good Neighbor grants and things like that. So I feel like, we've been doing Good Neighbor grants for not all of the 9 years that our nonprofit has been around, but at least 4. And we try to create awareness with like yard signs. And I think we can do better with some marketing of our programs and services and, getting our name out there. So I really appreciate you having me on so that your listeners can hear about what we're doing and just, getting the word out there that this is here and it's free, it's voluntary. It's something that if you want to be a part of, we welcome you with open arms and, come talk to us and see what we can accomplish together and how we can collaborate, not just with the neighborhoods, but other resources like the city planning department. I had a really great meeting recently with Discover Oshkosh. They want to collaborate on this placemaking initiative that they're doing with exploring the trail system and creating unique features to different neighborhoods, beautifying the city with public art and sculptures and murals. And I'm so excited to be a part of that and get neighborhoods engaged in that and have them contribute to, the overall appeal of the city, whether you live here or whether you're visiting here. This should be a great place to be.
Oh, absolutely. I can't stress that enough. And I think we don't always really appreciate what art adds to the culture and the vibrancy of your living space.
Right.
Right. So I'm excited about the direction and the planning and the efforts and the strategies being put forth for the city of Oshkosh to help us.
I am too.
Shift a little bit. Do a little shifting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Liz, I think what we're going to do at this time is we're going to take a quick moment for a cider break this time.
That's exciting.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead. And this shout out goes to our friends over there at Sunken Paddle. And what we do during our cider break is we give our guests a bottle of Sunken Paddle's hard cider, the Kosh, which is our own habanero and blackberry cider mixture there. Well, not our own, their own, but we got to partner with them and have a little assistance in helping to make it. Go ahead and crack that open.
Is it going to make a fun sound?
I don't think it's dangerous. It's cider.
Oh, nope. Didn't have the pop that I was thinking it might.
Nothing too bad. We're going to go ahead, pour a little bit in. Go ahead and smell that first. There is something to it.
Ooh.
Right?
It almost smells like a champagne.
Yeah, it's serious and yummy.
Oh, that like habanero just hit the back of my throat a
Yes.
little bit. It just like came into my nose and like went right to the back of my throat.
Oh, it has a little effervescence, a little habanero effervescence.
That smells delicious. It's like very complex.
It is complex. All right.
Should I take a sip?
Yes, go ahead, take a sip. Let's try it out.
Ooh, it's like really clean.
Oh, yeah.
That's a really, really nice cider.
See? Oh, yeah. I think it's fab.
Well done, Sunken Paddle.
Hey,
This is really good.
Hey, big shout out to our friends over there at Sunken Paddle. Yes, on the Kosh, we do live tastings of things for our commercials.
That was an adventure. Ooh, with this, like the smelling of it and the tasting. That's pretty cool.
See, and that's how we get down on the Kosh. So we give you Ghana style brittle, and then we give you yummy cider.
Yeah. Thanks for the treats.
Hey, no problem. Thank you for being part of our cider break. Okay. Ready for the next segment?
I am.
The next segment is called the Kosh Hidden Gems. This is your opportunity to share a hidden gem with the Kosh listeners. And that hidden gem can be anything. It doesn't have to be in our region. And what you're just trying to do, maybe it's something that everybody knows about, but maybe they don't know certain details about, or maybe it's something you don't think a lot of people know about. What is your hidden gem?
I think because of my experience with this, it's probably underutilized, but maybe I'm wrong. Hidden gem of Oshkosh would be the Weewash Trail that links to the Riverwalk Trail that creates a really cool and unique experience to explore Oshkosh from a very different perspective. If you're used to traveling around Oshkosh just by road, you're not going to see all of the things that these trails have to offer. So I would say the Weewash and the Riverwalk Trail could be hidden gems for some people. So I encourage people to explore them and use them. And I had a great talk with Discover Oshkosh recently about creating some features. I think I mentioned the placemaking features. I know that they're doing some work down at Menominee Park for some public art, and they're asking for some input on that. But I know that there is some discussions happening about creating features like sculptures and art throughout that Riverwalk Trail too. And I don't think they use these words specifically, but in my mind, it's almost like creating an Oshkosh scavenger hunt. Like having different features along the trail that people can find so that it has an experience component to it. Like I said, I live outside of the city of Oshkosh, but I love being able to hop on the Weewash Trail just outside of the city and bike into the city, and then being able to explore all of the cool things that Oshkosh has to offer. There are, breweries and restaurants and different parks and things like that that you can stop and, take breaks along these trails. And I think that's really cool that the city has that to offer.
The Weewash Trail.
Yeah.
That is a fantastic hidden gem.
Yeah, it's a connector from Oshkosh all the way up to Hortonville. So if you want to keep going.
Yeah. I have friends who are. I've got friends that bike centuries, and I'm not about that life. Yeah, I don't even think I don't own a functional bike anymore. And have not for a long time.
Yeah.
Bruh.
But it would be a cool thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a number of people that walk some of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there are sections that you don't have to do the whole thing, but if you really wanted to, you could bike all the way from Hortonville to Oshkosh and link up with other trails, and it's just a different way to explore the city.
I like it. Next last segment is called Story Time. And Story Time is an opportunity for our guests to tell the Kosh listeners a story. And that story can be about absolutely anything. So, Liz, what's your story?
Oh, what is my story? This is a really tough question.
Oh, everybody's got a good story.
Oh, can you give me some help?
Here's what I'll tell you for sometimes the story is not your own story, and maybe it's a good story someone else has shared with you.
Okay.
Sometimes there's stories that you've lived through that makes you smile and giggle. And sometimes they're impactful things that have happened to you that just is a good story to share sometimes.
Okay. Well, I think that the first time we met, which was through like a virtual Zoom call, I shared a little bit about an experience that I had when I was working at Habitat for Humanity. So one of the initiatives that I was working on was the Habitat Homebuyer Program. So prior to being at Oshkosh Healthy Neighborhoods, I was managing this neighborhood revitalization Rock the Block program. I was also managing Habitat's Homebuyer Program here in Oshkosh, and Habitat had the opportunity to purchase several city lots from the city of Oshkosh over by Menominee Park. So it was actually, the plan was to build homes on an entire city block, kind of like almost like a mini subdivision. But there were 6 lots that were available that were all going to be purchased and developed with Habitat families. And I know that there was a little bit of pushback from the neighborhood and concerns of like what this meant, like having a whole city block of new neighbors. And there was, I think, I don't know if I would say fear or just misunderstanding of what that meant for the neighborhood. So there were a lot of questions with like people coming to city council meetings, questioning why this was happening or what was happening. And I saw it as my mission to help people understand the benefit of bringing diversity and new people into an area that was very well established. So well-established neighborhood, great active neighborhood association. I just felt like it was really important to kind of take the opportunity to meld our two programs at the time, this neighborhood revitalization and this homebuyer program, and have the incoming Habitat families actually work alongside of some of these neighborhood residents with these Rock the Block projects. So it was a really great opportunity, and the timing was actually kind of perfect, that there were families coming into the neighborhood and there was this opportunity for this neighborhood revitalization. All Habitat families are required to complete a certain number of volunteer hours before they earn their house through this sweat equity requirement. And families that were going to be living amongst these new neighbors were able to meet their neighbors through some of these meetings that were happening to plan the program. They were able to actually work on the properties of some of their neighbors' homes, doing yard work and some painting. And it was just amazing opportunity for shared experience, shared meals, like we were sitting down having lunch together, getting to know one another, and just taking the time to kind of break down some of those walls. Like, there are new neighbors coming into the area. We don't know them. They might be from different cultures or, different lived experiences, but let's all, take this opportunity to get to know one another so that the misunderstanding is not there. I feel like there's so many misconceptions with Habitat housing. Sometimes people think that they're free houses or...
there's so many assumptions.
Right. The assumption, I think the most common assumption is that the house is free and that people are just kind of given the keys to a brand new house. And that could not be further from the truth. So I think just sharing with people in the neighborhood that might be confused or not understanding what this meant for their neighborhood, they were able to have the opportunity to get to know the families that were going to be their new neighbors, invite them to come to their neighborhood meetings so that they could get to know them on a personal level, because assumptions are very dangerous and just create distance and walls between people. So
absolutely. It's fear.
Right. So just breaking down those walls and creating opportunities for people to get to know each other was really rewarding for me. And I feel like it was really helpful in getting the neighborhood to welcome new people that were coming into their area. And it was really amazing and beautiful to see neighborhood leaders actually attending the home dedications for the families that actually built and are now living in those homes. So I'm really proud of that. And I feel like the neighborhood should be really proud of it. The homeowners should be really proud of just that true integration within an established neighborhood association. I feel like was really successful and something that everybody should be proud of.
I think there's another part of the story that you didn't share that I think you shared when you shared this with me or during our call. And that was after they got to know each other, how cool they became with each other.
Oh, yeah. And I think even like amongst the Habitat families that are living on that block, like sharing food, I think.
Well, it's always about the sharing of food. Let's be honest.
I've heard some really cool stories about sharing food. And like one of the families in particular actually at one point was running a catering business. So they were like all about food. And maybe I can do a little shout out to them. Hi, Jennifer and Joe, if you're listening.
Most definitely.
But they're really great at catering and prepping food. And one of the things that Jennifer shared with me is that the family living next to them is actually they're a refugee family from Syria. And they were sharing food with one another. And that just like lit them up like, oh, this is so cool that, we can be neighbors and we can be friends and, we can share meals and food and recipes. And I know Jennifer has this dream of having a block party and kind of like a melting pot of all of these different cultures and foods and recipes. So at some point we're going to help make that happen, just to have an opportunity for, even more people in the neighborhood to get to know them a little bit better and let some of their talent shine and their personalities and just get to know each other.
Just figure out that, once again, we are more alike than not.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And be good neighbors.
Right. Everybody has something to offer. Everybody has unique talents. And I just wish people would give each other a chance,
Facts.
Right.
Well, Liz, we're going to start wrapping up this episode now.
Okay.
So I want to take a quick moment here and just say thank you. And, gosh, listeners, you know what that means? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for giving us your minds and ears. Thank you for caring about another amazing person in our community, helping to make our region a better place, helping to make our neighborhoods better. I love this conversation. This was so cool. Who knew we had a resource out here that actually tries to help us be better neighbors to each other? Shoot, that's what I was trying to do with the Kosh. I'm just keeping it 100, y'all.
You're doing a great job.
Hey, I'm trying. All right. So, as you always know, we are trying to become the #1 podcast in Wisconsin, and I need your help to do that. So these are the things that I need you to do. As you listen to these episodes, let us know how we can be better. Reach out to us. If you got better questions, let us know. If you would like to be a guest, let us know. If you would like to recommend some guests, let us know. You can reach out to us at askthekosh@gmail.com. Once again, that is askthekosh@gmail.com. Also, the other thing that we need is I need your help to help increase our analytics, because the better our analytics, the more eyes and ears get to learn about what I think is a pretty awesome podcast in the Kosh. So what that means is when you are listening, if you see the opportunity to give us some stars, give us 5 of them. If you see an opportunity to leave us a review, go on and write that. And if you see a subscribe button, hit that. These are all things that increase our analytics, and the better our analytics, the more community members will get to learn about this amazing, amazing podcast known as the Kosh. All right. So, Liz, we got one more thing. Oh, we actually got 2 more things left to do.
Okay.
So before we get too far along, let me hit this right here. And what that means is it's shout out time. Liz, who we shouting out today?
I've already given a couple shout outs
Oh,
so
you
far,
could
just in my chatting, but I would say shout out to my people. So my friends that I mentioned earlier, I think you know who you are, but they are, I guess what I would say, my camp family. I miss some of you. Well, I shouldn't say I miss some of you. I miss all of you. But some of you are a little bit farther away now than others, and we need to get together because I miss sitting around a fire with you and hope that we can get together soon. My family, who I adore more than you'll ever know, but my husband Tom and my kids, I love you so much. Also, shout out to an organization that I mentioned earlier, the Nonprofit Leadership Institute. I just started. I'm so excited about this journey that I'm starting to become a better leader. And I'm excited to implement it into our programming with Oshkosh Healthy Neighborhoods and just see how impactful that can be. So thank you to the Community Foundation of the Fox Valley region for hosting it and offering it to folks in Oshkosh. They are reserving a few spots each year for Oshkosh leaders to be involved in that. And just all of the neighborhood leaders at Oshkosh Healthy Neighborhoods, thank you for your commitment to connecting with one another and sharing resources. And all of our local support for Oshkosh Healthy Neighborhoods, our funders, our partners at the City Planning Department, and just City's Parks Department, and just other friends of our organization and just personal friends of mine and family. Thank you all for your support.
I also want to send this quick shout out over there to Hope and her team over there at the Nonprofit Leadership Institute. That is a great program.
I'm really excited about it.
Oh yeah, helps make our organizations that support our community just stronger. Okay, so my shout outs. I want to send a shout out to my man Nick Ross over there at Diverse and Resilient. Had a great conversation with him. Always love having convos with him. I love your passion. I love how you get down. I love your fearlessness. I want to send a special shout out to some students over at Lawrence and Professor Jesus Smith, who are taking the Business and Diversity class. I do a partnership with them. My second year where we do a podcast called Lawrence Engaged, and the students go out and they interview business owners of color or from marginalized communities and interview them, understand their story, talk about their business, their growth. These are fascinating. These students do such a great job. But just the fact that Lawrence wanted to do something like this and give it to their students and is connecting them into the community so that way they learn more, they feel more like it's their community too. It's just a fantastic project. And if anyone's interested, it's out there. So wherever you listen to podcasts, it is called Lawrence Engaged. So check that out. I want to send a special shout out to my friend Carolyn at the foundation. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you for everything that you share with me, teach me. I appreciate you. Send a shout out to Adriana over at the library, the Appleton Public Library. You already know. Thank you. And we end all shout outs the same way every week, and that is this. The last shout out, but by far not the least shout out, always goes to the wife who continues to let me make a podcast in the house. Baby, I love you, and I appreciate you, and thank you. Okay, so Liz, the last thing you got to do before we wrap up this episode is you have 3 choices. And the 3 choices are this, all right? Option A, give some parting words of wisdom to the Kosh listeners. Option B, tell us what would yourself today tell your 13-year-old self. Or option C, like all good multiple choices, you get an all of the above. So if you'd like to do both, you can do both. Okay. How are we getting down?
I think I can do both because my parting words of wisdom would be probably what I would tell my 13-year-old self. And that would be, it's actually a line from a Disney movie. So my favorite Disney story is Cinderella. And it's because of the line, have courage and be kind. So I feel like sometimes people need to speak up. We touched briefly on injustice. And if you see something that's not right, have the courage to speak up or do something or both. And it can always be done respectfully and out of kindness and productivity. So if I had to kind of, narrow that down to, a key phrase, just have courage and be kind. Do all things out of, love and respect for one another and just basic human decency. Help each other connect. If you feel, isolated, just know that there are people out there that are willing to, bring you into a community, and finding your people is so important. And there are different ways to do that. There's so many different ways to do that, whether, like I said, through neighborhoods, teams, workplaces. There are a lot of good people out there. And sometimes you have to, take the steps to find those people. And sometimes you get lucky and they find you. But there are people out there for everyone.
Facts. All right, Liz, what'd you think?
I think this was great.
Me too. The Kosh.